Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast from me, your host, Imperial Dane, Master Propaganda Hero Strike, Defender of the Fatherland. We're off here to a 1 versus 1 on La Glaze. Between the south, we got here Vasto fighting for the Wehrmacht, Germany, Deutschland, taking on the role here of the 5th SS Panzerdivision Viking versus in the north, we got Macos fighting for the Soviet Union, Socialism, taking on the role here of the 20th Motorized Rifle Division. We got here Mechanized Assault Lightning War and Mobile Defense with Triple Infantry versus Soviet Combined Arms Army, Shock Army, and Guard Motor. This is definitely not your usual selection of the Soviet doctrines. We've got here anti-tank gun bulletins and machine gun bulletins and holy moly, shock trooper bulletins. Macos is definitely not playing by the book. We got an MU42 gun out there for Vasto with double conscripts and double engineers for Macos. I wonder what that means. Besides, he's clearly got some kind of early building planned. Wiring up there, grabbing points, but not by the way, he's sort of wiring here. Not all by switch back to Bandicam just for this episode because I haven't gotten work at this time of recording. If people actually like the others recording program, I just prefer Bandicam, which again, for most part, I prefer because again, it's a lot more stable, which means less frame rate drops, which means there's a lot more content for me to do, plus less other finicky things. But again, if people want the other recording program, which is basically XSplit Gamecaster, which you also use for streaming, then that's fair enough as well. Then that is fair enough as well. But again, that time, that worry. We've got securing territory there. More gunners away there for Vasto. Constantly moving down the centre there for him. Advancing safely, slowly. And second unit squad there ramming. So enough, he's not building anything with it. So it seems a bit curious as to what Macos was planning there. First engaged gunners and engineers firing up against each other. Can't cases mostly guns. Macos here not quite paying it. In this case, the gunners managed to get right past the engineers and force them off the area here. Also, at the same time, it leaves the fuel point very exposed. In fact, a fuel point Macos has yet to secure at all, allowing Vasto here to act to disrupt it. So Vasto, by aiming for a bit of a disruption, opening this grenadiers and catching this, we got Macos quite off guard. Most of his cards in the centre here, keeping the grenadiers occupied there. But this could prove a bit dangerous for Macos. We got MB42 moving up on the western side with Pioneers sort of further carrying the flank, scouting ahead and securing points. One contract court there, slightly falling back towards the other house. Here now catching the gunners in two houses. That means the gunners are likely going to lose because there's a lot more rifles pointing at them from inside houses as well. We got the MB42 supportive, that's only able to fire this one, so that's going to be less efficient. Gunners are pushing back the engineers slowly but surely with a third gunners one later for Vasto. Maybe on this map though, and particularly considering this sort of current situation here, I would probably recommend Vasto going for a mortar over that Grenadier squad to up the slots, the conscript from the houses that we can see in Macos. He's actually shifting about there just to avoid the arc of fire of the MD42. Grenadiers flanking up behind here though, but the problem is the Grenadiers inside the house already in a pretty poor condition. But nice move there with Vasto moving about there, sort of trying to get behind the Russians, maybe threaten the flanks a bit. MD42 shifting up here. No early Molotovs for him. In fact, we got the Special Rifle Command. You maybe figure, with sort of development he'd go for support and company himself, mortar as well, but no sign of mortars yet from any of the two. Instead, we're not going to see Peanuts was out there for Macos. To that way, challenge Vasto, who's here in the West Pioneer for his flamethrowers dealing with the conscripts. Certainly a viable counter to this kind of play, and we also got flamethrowers for Macos. So both players going for flamethrowers, and no players considering mortars as of yet. Getting control of the centre thanks to MB42 the Grenadiers, plus of course the Grenadier squad here, but there we go, flamethrowers to threaten them. Mein Gott, Jürgen, say got Flammenwerfers. Say werf Flammen. Ja, I get that, Otto, just get out of there before we get cooked. Like Fritz and Dieter. Getting cooked alive, what a way to go. Very inhumane. Anyways, conscripts there, pushing back the Pioneers, closely winning the fight. They were pretty close themselves to getting just scorched. More Grenadiers here for Vasto. That's a 4 Grenadier MT42 build. That could possibly indicate a tier 3 rush. Again, some players like to go for this sort of, as you would say, template. That is 4 Grenadiers, 1 MD42, and then sort of just use that momentum they gain from it to push for tier 3. And that certainly seems to be what Vasto is aiming here at the moment. We'll have to see though. He's going to need a medic bunker up here. His Grenadiers and Pioneers are rather depleted. Quick medic bunker cannot be cheap now, and particularly he's planning tier 3 anyways. He's not going to need the manpower right away to, like to make a nice company. So we'll have to see what Vasto does. In the centre, we've got MB42 being assaulted by the engineers with a flamethrower. Not good. They have to retreat. Conscript moving down. Now he actually goes for the sniper team here to that way try and force the fascists out of their houses. So an interesting choice there by Macos. Vasto's just standing about there. He's reinforcing, but no sign of bunkers there for him. No latest machine gun either if he's not aiming for a bunker. But he's got the take up done. The MG42 back in the house. The spot the flamethrower units comes in quickly suppressed. They could get into the house, but for some reason not quite, and they might risk being pinned down, so they're not careful. There we go. And no bunker yet here for him. No bunker. Grenadiers moving up the west side. Grenadiers moving down up through the centre. And the snipers will hang back there. And the MG42 ends up retreating. Probably from due to the sniper hit there. And the MG crew there already low on health, basically meaning anyone could basically sneeze that cafe they're operating from and they'd probably die. You got people can see sort of Macos is playing an aggressive play to sort of try and keep Vasto a bit off guard. Anti-tank grenades, see, suspecting 222s, but again, if Vasto's, you know, planning tier 3 rush again, then Macos actually made a misread of Vasto. And again, I'm more seeing, you know, tier 3 rushes. It's something you have to keep in mind there as you're sort of playing as an ally play against the Valmont opponent. If you're seeing a lot of Grenadiers and an MG42, that is likelihood they are planning a tier 3 rush, in which case you have to be prepared for that. I mean, obviously, again, if Vasto is actually playing for 2-2, so he's going to need anti-tank grenades. He's going to have to defend them off. Of course, also got the guardsman sort of from his two of his doctrines. So, I mean, it's not like he's over that options there as well. But there you go, big Grenadier push here. Vasto playing very aggressively there. Bit of blobbing, bunching up there. Need to be careful about that. There we go, full retreat. Not very efficient. Pioneer securing territory in the east. He could lay down mines. S-mines right, be good. Tailor mines maybe around there. No like to make a nice company, no bunker. So at this stage, if you haven't built a like to make a nice company despite taking out, very much say you're planning, you know, a tier 3 rush. So that very much now seems to be sort of what Vasto's going for. Otherwise, he's going for a very, very, very slow kind of tier 2, which doesn't make sense. So I think we can confirm at this stage he's going for a tier 3 rush. Floating manpower on the like. So he could also go for doctrine to maybe support this a bit. Mechanized assault. Mobile defense is a commonly chosen doctrine to support tier 3 rush. That way you can easily, you know, call in the Puma as, you know, a emergency sort of move, or you could just try and push it harder with lightning bolt doctrine and G43s. Maybe some tactical movement down the road. But there you go, bunker up. Could have that a bit sooner, I guess, but well. S-mine standards probably make it a bit harder for Macos to reclaim his fuel point. Very good move there by Vasto and the 5th SS Panzer Division Viking. One of the first 3 SS units to actually receive Panzers back when in 1942 they finally successfully lobbied the Führer, if you will, sort of actually gave them access to Panzers. Before that, it had pretty much only been sort of the realm of the Wehrmacht Panzer divisions, but by 1942 there was, and perhaps not very wise decision then, splitting up the armor elements, creating more armoured units. That way included the 1st, the 2nd and the 5th SS divisions, not the 3rd SS. By the way, they didn't get armor at that point, sort of, you know, formed up into sort of with Panzer battalions, initially forming up Panzer Grenadier units, or Schützen, or motorized infantry, I suppose, within some initiative edition for Stalingrad. A little fun fact there, for those not aware. And at the same time, the Luftwaffe got for his Hammer-Göring battalion, this, you know, Hammer-Göring got for his special Hammer-Göring battalion, also a Panzer company or battalion. That's a little fun side note there as well, even in 1942. I didn't actually know they had it there, but again, you learn some interesting things from time to time. They're going to flanking back, catching the side with a very good move. Here in the east, we got Pioneers versus Engineers, both with flamethrowers. In this case, the Pioneers have the edge of the Engineers already low in health, plus they're a bit more bunched up. And again, flamethrowers basically act as AoE weapons. I mean, they will have a high chance, just, you know, that way doing a lot more damage. And close again, the Engineers wipe, but not fully. Gonna just bring to the center, low on health, numbers. Medic bunker not upgraded yet. That's flooding a lot of manpower, not taking up either. He could do things a lot more efficient. He could also build fuel caches, more Pioneers, but also keep it efficient. I mean, if you're setting up for tier 3 rush, I mean, again, he's flooding manpower. Just spending the manpower now to at least sort of set up better structures for it would be, you know, overall a lot more efficient rather than flooding 800 manpower. Again, just like yesterday's episode, sometimes even high rank players have a slight tendency of just floating at rather unfortunate moments. And again, while I can understand it to an extent, you know, it's still, you know, a bit unfortunate because it usually means, again, you know, you usually give your opponent more time to recover and get back, and that's always a thing to keep in mind, you know. It's sort of like, you know, back in early World War II where Hitler refused, you know, to commit to a full war economy right away, and thusly not pressure his opponents as much as he could, which allowed them, you know, also get back on their feet at times. So yeah, historical there as well. I mean, I suppose you could say Vasto's then playing very historically by not committing to a full war economy, I suppose. But, you know, always commit to a full war economy. Always. Because they're getting straight out in the open by the MG42 Grenadiers sitting at the camp from inside the cafe. Back here, nothing further going on. We got healing going on there from the medic bunker. He's going for 5 grenadiers. He's still not taking up though, which he really should be doing at this point, because at this stage already he could have a support macro up. Hell, look at that fuel capture up. Maybe or now be pushing for some kind of Ostwind fast out there. Pioneer's hitting a mine there, taking losses. No, that's a field gun bombarding. He's trying to get the sniper, so that is a bit risky with the Pioneers like that. And there you go, white flame for a drop. In this regard, he made a mistake, and lost an enemy fortress as well there to Macos. Right here, Vasto making, I think, 2 great mistakes. And I think it's just because he overjudged the situation. Again, all that manpower float might have caused him to think, I'm doing a lot better than I, thought I was. I'm just going to play really confidently now. Then he makes these extended mistakes, and then takes losses from it. So I'm guessing that's sort of what's going on. Again, always, spend your resources and always be careful at trying, manage too much. But also, take efficiently. And overall, that's just a very sort of common complaint I have. Again, even higher ranked players, again. When it comes to the Wehrmacht, a lot of them just aren't very good techers. And it's really what's the thing I think any sort of Wehrmacht player wants to get better at it, start with getting better at teching, because it's where a lot of players tend to fall apart. In particular, the ones who actually try to go for rushes, they absolutely suck at tier 3 rushes. I mean, specifically the teching element. I mean, you'll see some good players, and the ones that really manage to pull it off are the ones who know how to tech fast. But again, you'll see a lot of other players who just can't quite master the whole concept of teching fast. So again, if you really want to improve the Wehrmacht, one of the simple ways is just work on your teching, because it's really where a lot of Wehrmacht players, again, even higher ranked ones, just, consistently stumble. It's just, they're not very good at teching up. Still, he's pushing back his opponent. He's almost got the support core finally done. Again, he could have that out much sooner. He could have that Ostwind by now, to be honest. And he just applied a bit more, tempo, momentum. Build a fuel cache. So there's definitely some room for improvement there for Vasto. And always a good player, but again, just playing some of the more typical Wehrmacht player mistakes. And you'll generally, see every faction sort of player, so sort of play them tends to have these usual mistakes. Again, Wehrmacht, not very good at tech for some reason. I don't get why, since they're really ones the average that really has the most tech, yet somehow they always end up being not very good at it. For some allied players, it tends to be they're not very good at the whole flanking or using cover element. Or handling their armor very well. Though that's also a very common trait for a lot of players in general. Mines down there. American players tend to suck at mining. That's one. Mines laying out there. They also tend to be very rubbish at using most of the smoke. There's increasing though players who are beginning to use this smoke. Start flying up there, the Pioneers. Bit of pressure up through the centre though. You can see Vasto needs to be careful about not getting too focused here again, turning into a Stalingrad. That could easily end up costing Vasto quite a bit there versus Macos if he's not careful. Troops are reinforcing. He's not, again, he's got the tech, but he's not building the support more quite. He could be pushing up Panzer IV by now. And that regard there's really some work needed for Vasto. Some serious work needed for Vasto. Again, common mistake. Common mistake. So I'm going to try not to keep mentioning it, but it does bear repeating. Learn to tech if you're playing Wehrmacht. Jolly well learn to tech. But there you go, pressure on the west flank there against conscripts. Again, it does feel like he's so focused in the centre there, that it's going to cost him much, because again, he's allowing then Macos to focus his defence on the centre. That course, it's going to risk bleeding out Vasto. Yes, but Morty's going for more grenadiers. He's not pushing for his armour as he could right now. He's going for more grenadiers. He's really committing to it. In fact, he's going to have 6 grenadiers out there versus his opponent. He's also going for lightning wall, and he's going for G for the fleets of a lot of his grenadiers. So could also have some light machine guns out sooner. So this is a very heavy infantry blitz there from Vasto versus Macos. We'll have to see if we can then fully utilise it, because when you go for that many grenadiers, you're also more likely just, to slip up. And again, that's also where I can understand players like, our friends from yesterday, again, that are might perhaps a bit too cautious about getting too many, because again, they can struggle to handle them. But again, Vasto clearly does not possess such issues or hold-ups, and just commits fully to a very heavy grenadier build. Again, we're talking 6 grenadiers, but again, at the cost of actually taking efficiently. So I mean, something to be mindful of there. We can see though his opponent has gone for shock troopers. with their PPH-41s. That's certainly a very good sort of way of just countering an opponent with a lot of grenadiers. I mean, shock troopers can do a lot of damage, plus they're less concerned with all those rifle bullets. I mean, had Vasto, going for armor faster, going for shock troopers, it could be a lot less advantageous for Macos and the 20th Motorized Rifle Division. Going by heavy mortar as well here, so we can see he's gone for 2 things out of his doctrine. In fact, he's gone for 3 things. We've got heavy mortars, shock troopers, and PPS-41s, compared to the Vasto so far. He's only got G43s out. There's a lot going on though, and he's finally, by the way, got the support Macos up there. He can also finally go for a Panzer IV. You could go for Ostwins, which will be a pretty good choice now versus his opponent. We'll have to see though what Vasto commits to, and of course it sort of depends also what he's expecting his opponent to have. When he's feeling confident, then Ostwin would be pretty good, because again Macos currently doesn't have any armor. If he had, of course, a Panzer IV would be better, but again it all comes down to how Vasto feels about the situation. Or if he just plays like a lot of the armor players do, which is, they'll just go for Panzer IVs no matter what. Up here, the Macos' base, no tack up. That's definitely a mistake there as well, I feel. I mean, he's got support from Company, he's got field guns out, he's got special rifle command, but there's no attempt to say pushing out armor versus Vasto. And that could certainly allow Vasto's Panzer IV there, or even an Ostwin to be quite dominant there versus Macos. So that is something to keep in mind there. That is something to keep in mind. Minesweepers out there. Vasto obviously worried about his opponent going for mines and demo charges. And we've certainly hit a few already. Shock troopers push back. They're pushing for the fuel pond there with the conscripts with the PPSH-41s. Basically a Soviet copy of a Finnish submachine gun, more or less. Which they got a hold of during, I believe it was the Winter War. And they just sort of made their own version of it, basically. Fun little fact there. But again, it was common during the war, to just copy weapon designs if they saw something they thought was pretty neat. But there you go, big push again. He's using his infantry very much as a blunt instrument. You'd think he was playing the Soviets, to be honest. Again, it very much has its risks. Of course, if he's here to pull it off quite aggressively, I mean, it can also work. There you go, comes with something up close. They're taking a lot of damage to the PPH-41s. Needs to be careful with that, but just ignoring contact up close with it, particularly if they are veteran, they can quickly do a lot of damage. And there you go, there's a Grenadier squad here, very likely to get wiped. There we go. But there you go, Panzer IV arrives, breaks right past the corner, then the wall opens up, the heavy mortar gets 1/3 of the crew immediately. Guns being pushed back, they got the Panzer IV slightly falling back there with the sight of the field gun. Pioneers need to stand about, then back here, Grenadiers standing about as well. Having lost 2 Grenadier squads now, actually, you can see that things quickly get a bit ugly there for Vasto, because again, now sort of hits into that problem I mentioned earlier, which again, if you've got so much infantry, risk struggling to control it all. With risk struggling to control it all, that means you over your opponent's more chances of getting a lot of wipes in. So, right there, I think Vasto sort of just basically hit that issue. Seemingly did some damage there to Macos. Ultimately, he lost, 2 Grenadier squads for it, which really isn't worth it. Also, he's going to need that Panzer IV fixed up soon. Victory points wise, they're reasonably close to each other at the moment. Either player having a sizable lead over the other one. Oh, Panzer IV got a bit too close, and there you go, quickly pelted with an anti-tank grenade. Got a lot of Grenadiers running out there. These Pioneers are all the way over in the east. You should definitely consider an additional Pioneer squad to repair things, just to expedite repairs. Grenadier advancing for Germany. Deutschland. Field gun hanging back here. And we got the mechanized armor company going up for Macos. Consequences Grenadiers. Rifle grenade there, landing with quite a thud, leaving many conscripts there, but there you go, heavy mortar fire returns the impact on the Germans. But Macos can soon go for T-34s, which will certainly help us the infantry. And will help keeping the Panzer IV in check on top of that. Sniper there with 24 kills. Not good here for Vasto. And certainly having quite an impact there, I think, for Macos. There you go for the T-34 from 6. Of course, you've got the planning S-35 first here versus the Panzer IV. Oh, shock to restrain to the Panzer IV, but there you go, field gun. Lands a good hit and return on the Panzer IV there. And conscript quickly roaring ahead. Still no additional pioneers for Vasto. Still no additional pioneer. And Macos continue to float fuel there. Again, he's been pushing for tanks. And we got air support called in on the centre as well. Looks to be trying to murder some Germans there. Catch them unawares. Oh, close to wiping out the pioneers. And oh, he got the grenadiers. And that's really one thing this ability is amazingly and disturbingly good at. It's really good at wiping out retreating units. In particular, low on health. That really can make a well-coordinated IL-2 sturming attack quite dangerous for a German player. Because, again, if it hits at the right time, you can suddenly find yourself short of a lot of troops. So, he should go for more pioneers to help repair his panzers. But thanks to all of this, Macos is gaining good map control there versus Vasto, and he is also flying up there with an H-5 tank destroyer. Also very solid choice here. Guys taking fire from snipers and constantly pushing up there with their PPSH-41s. Clearing up the grenadiers at close quarters. Grenadiers said this is the conscripts with the H-5 on the way there from Macos, almost done. Panzer IV Ryan, we got the second Panzer IV there from Vasto, no attempt at Ostwind or anything else, he just goes for the Panzers. Trying to defend the field when there, go. Quickly trying to bait the Panzer IV, hitting there, go hit him in there to tank rate, but there's a very likely losing the conscripts, which might not quite be worth it. That means he's going to have no infantry left except one conscript. Shock to squad, there you go. Got it there with a field gun, but Panzer IV quickly escapes here around the corner. It's going to be very close. The grenadiers moving ahead. A lot of grenadiers. Could try, if he had them, he'd still say tactical movement to rush it, but that's not happening. Instead, we're going to get his flanking up behind here now. Going to hit the fuel point again. Vasto certainly losing map control here, and also risk losing a lot of victory points versus his opponent. So, Vasto might want to reassess his tactical approach just a bit here versus Macos. Going down the field, going down the centre, replacement conscript away there for him as well. No penalty was bar away there for Macos. Again, he does have access to them, but for whatever reason, he does not go for them. Which is a bit surprising since they are very much, you know, the fashion at the moment. There goes H-5, goes straight for the Panzer IV here. Taking a lot of fire in the process. And probably unawares his opponent does have another Panzer IV, which could risk, you know, the H-5 getting knocked out. There you go, Panzer IV. Arriving, Panzer fast on the H-5, almost got out of there. Field gun almost close to being knocked out, but grenadiers before it. Oh, let's go down here about the Panzer IV. Right in front of the conscripts and the mortar firing down here, getting quickly very ugly there for Vasto. That is not good armor handling there, and he gets it, but he might lose his Panzer IV. It would definitely not be worth it. I mean, that means he basically lost 2 Panzer IVs and an opponent only really lost an H-5. That would be a terrible development there for Vasto. Terrible. That would be a definite win there for Macos, but he does get away with the Panzer IV. Field gun wiped, conscripts almost wiped out as well here. That would certainly be then a bigger win for Vasto. And get them. Another unit wiped somewhere. Didn't get the conscripts though, did not get them. Troops reinforcing, healing, moving up. Panzer IV and dying repairs. More to their Vetri 2 just lobbing bombs at Macos. Right flank woefully underutilized there by Vasto, but even then I think also Macos could be doing more there. Both players locked more on raw tests of strength, it seems. Well, at least they're not focusing too hard on the centre. There we go. It's got mines going down there. Good work by Macos. Good work. Grenadiers versus engineers. Trying to find the victory point there. Got more to hit. And that could be too slow than retreating with the second let's got their Ryan. There's a likelihood they're losing the engineers, so they got starter fire there. Try and take some shots at them instead. trying to get engineers, but right now, as I say, the snipers were a bigger priority target. There you go, rifle grenade off. Oh! Oh, he wasn't paying attention! He got away with rifle grenading the snipers, and they were veteran free too! Good lord, that is a bit embarrassing there for Macos. And getting your snipers rifle grenaded like that, that's gotta hurt. Little mortar fire there. We got T-34 from 6 on weather for Macos and the 20th Motorized Rifle Division. Back here, troops in reinforcing. Master some time off from the next piece of armor. I mean, he's on the back foot, he's not got all the map. As again, his opponent does have a lot more, meaning overall he can just push out tanks fast, in particular because of the Soviets, and the T-34 is pretty cheap. I mean, fuel-wise, it's 50% less than the Panzer IV.
Supply sector under attack.
Well, 2/3 less. The Panzer IV is 50% more expensive. Sounds like 2/3. Yeah. Not sure why the math went wrong there. 2/3. Anyways, stuff happening. Pushing out there. Constance versus Grenadiers there. Engineers sneaking about as well. A lot of damage pushing around the centre there. Again, not much happening in the far right flank there. Vasto definitely, I think, needs to remember that one. Pressure a bit more. T-34 sitting them down the centre, and they're going to gain the Panzer IV. Shot bounces though. Shot bounces. But there you go. Makes a mistake, possibly because he isn't paying attention. I'll expose the rearmor to the T-34, giving that a much better chance of penetrating the Panzer IV. Second shot, shot after that, no bounce, but there you go. Field gun hits, penetrates the Panzer IV, taking down to half health. And he's moving up, shot bounces again. And there you go, Fritz, Panzer Vasto, the T-34 damaging his engine. But still, it's going to be able to get away here, so will the Panzer IV. Shuki could be an idea for Vasto just to help bolster his ranks versus the T-34s. Just add more firepower. As for Macos, going for another T-34 as soon as possible would all be a pretty good idea. Heavy mortar, there were 7 kills. Vasto pushing back his opponent here, gaining more and more of the map for the fatherland. There you go, heavy mortar being pushed away there. There you go, Kansko for the PPSH-41s to the rescue. In fact, 2 squads of them. And there you go, the Grenadiers are run off. Not really much of a chance to up close to the state. I mean, even a few seconds longer they would have been wiped. Veteran fleet constant with submachine guns are in fact pretty lethal. And very good at destroying infantry. Holy moly, that heavy mortar round also did a number there on those Germans. And there you go, finally though, Vasto begins to breach the east once more. Very good work there. Macos will need to respond to that with armor, and he should also definitely get more armor. As for Vasto, it looks like he's aiming for Panzer IV still. He's also still got a lot of Grenadiers. You could at this point though easily just consider taking back or taking up words for support weapon. I'd like to make a nice company to that by bringing up Panzer Grenadiers instead of just all these Grenadiers. But I think it'd be a pretty good choice here. But no sign of that, and there you go, more support here from Macos again, right in the midst of Vasto's forces, and again doing a lot of damage again. Thinking about the third airstrike there is basically, it gets less effective the more infantry there's together. Basically, infantry proximity determines the efficiency of it, so it catches a long unit, it's a lot more devastating than if the units are just, bunched up together, which sounds a bit weird, but basically prevents them just being way too good as infantry, which is really the problem before it got nerfed. I mean, just calling the right third airstrike at the right time, you can just completely devastate your opponent. And while it can still have an impact, generally that impact will be a lot less wipey. But there you go, 2nd Panzer IV on the way there for Vasto. And the 5th SS Panzer Division Viking. T-34 rolling back. The 1942 model there, with the hexagonal turret with a bit more hatches, and those are a bit better sort of ability to view out. Fun fact, they actually planned a modernised version of that one by the time around Operation Barbarossa began, but the thing is, they couldn't actually afford to put it into production because that meant retooling a lot of their stuff, so instead they just sort of kept working on what they had. And ultimately, just long-term push with the T-34, but had some upgrades, but still not up to all the full sort of benefits and T-34-76M would have had, which included thicker armour. In fact, the T-34 stayed with 45mm of sloped armour throughout the war and after the war, which rather limited the things a bit there. There you go, T-34 going for the Panther 4, shoots, penetrates there. Gets a good hit there with its high-velocity gun. Not as high velocity as the Panthers, obviously, but pretty good. In fact, he's able to take down T-34s with it. In fact, another fun fact is the first sort of Panther 4 with a longer barrel, but not quite as long as that, was the Panther 4 F2. But interestingly enough, despite being pretty needed, they never really put a lot of them into production. I think they were talking like 100 or 200 of them. Meaning they overall had little impact there during 1942 where they were introduced. Of course, the other vehicle they introduced was that, the Stug 3F8. Did have the gun and there was a few larger numbers of them, so that was able to have a bit more impact. But that's sort of one of those weirder decisions the German army made at times. Canadians, they're fighting versus conscripts. Still not a lot from the doctrine of Vasto. No tactical movement, no relief infantry either, which could help him a bit. Then he's still back to 6 grenadiers. He really likes these aggressive infantry tactics, but again you can see that they have some issues in terms of unit preservation. Again, that's one of the issues. If you just go for a lot of infantry like that, you risk losing control of them, losing a lot. Macos, on the other hand, is also pretty low on everything right now. He's got 1 shot for the squad, 1 conscript, hay mortar, field gun, and some T-34s, so it's not like Macos is in an amazing situation. And in fact, right now, Vasto is very much in control. It's going to come down to some pretty clever players and pretty big mistakes there from Vasto for Macos to have a chance here, because he's just down to like 47 versus the 60. Then again, a lot of those 60s just a lot of infantry. Field gun turning up that Panther 4. Oh god, the T-34 is down to just 1 tank again. Letty 2 on the Panther 4, and looks like it will escape here the wrath of the Soviet Union. Looking pretty bleak for Macos, looking pretty bleak. Panther 4, they're firing at 75mm with a gun. T-34 arrives, shoots and bounces off the Panther 4's armour. And this is being shredded by the T-34-76. And another T-34-76 to the Macos. Trying to catch the heavily damaged 32 Panther 4. Panther 4 needs to fall back. Still, Vasto's got these map control victory points are quickly slipping out of his hands. He's going to need more pioneers to fix up all these Panther 4s, but that's really one of the things Vasto's bigger issues. He's just only got 1 pioneer. On the other hand, Macos has also got that problem. He's got no engineers. But there you go, whack another unit. The T-34 is starting to have a good impact there versus Vasto. They're having a bit of an impact. And if we're talking T-34 versus Panther 4, here's a fun little detail that's more player-based, but a lot of players tend to assume that the T-34, at least some players tend to assume, again, that the T-34 is just automatically, better than the Panther 4, because for some reason they assume that this Panther 4 is the same one, exact same one, as the one they had at the start of the war, which is the one they compare with to the T-34. They'll usually then use, later models on the other hand when they're talking now, but the reality is, of course, isn't quite true. I mean, the late war Panther 4 was a lot better in many ways than the early war Panther 4. Better gun, better armour, better a lot of things really, making it a lot more formidable and a lot more easy just to take on T-34s. And even in the early stages of the war, the T-34s had its own issues, which again tend to also get neglected by those people who try to espouse the superiority of the T-34-76 at all times. Mortar there, almost got the airstrike there, need to go back to the T-34-76 before it's too late, got the conscious pushing ahead. Panther 4 shoots, almost gets a hit there. But Macos just keeps up the pressure and keeps up the bleed versus his opponent. He could lay down some tripwire flare mines there. Panther 4 needed repairs there. Almost got that one fixed up. And a Stug for Vasto to help deal with all the Soviet armor. Definitely not a bad idea there. Definitely not a bad idea. Guns up against the shock troopers there. Grenade off. And Grenadier squads then moving up, but taking fire from the T-54. He's loped up the infantry assault more or less on its own without any sort of serious support. There to support the guns. There you go. Got the Panther moving in though. Probably should say to use to prioritise vehicles in this case. Infantry moving too far ahead here. Need to deal with the conflict on the fuel point. I think not push the Panther 4 too far ahead either. He's also getting rather close there, which of course exposes him to field guns situated in areas he's not aware, but of course also exposes the rear armor just to the T-34 itself and just minimises the armor protection gained from the T2. And there you go. He, in fact, ignored the counter there. I think again Vasto's just trying to do so many things at the same time. He can't really manage it. There goes Veteran Panther 4 knocked out there. And there you go. That was a definite tactical error there, but Vasto looks like it's about to make another one to get the Panther 4 there after the field gun on its own. No real infantry support that we've got Pioneers, but in this also finally gone for a second Pioneer squad, but now it's going to be too late as this Panther 4 has already suffered a lot of damage. Got the T-34 moving in. Stewed a bit too close, no prioritised vehicles either. He's attacking ground there, I think. Oh, there you go. Ooh, close. Need to pull back the Stewed, need to build distance. The T-34 still threatening the flank. He's moving up the Panther 4 to assist. Misses. Got the T-34, but need to pull back the Stewed. Got another T-34. That was actually ended up being a pretty bad engagement there. A bit lucky, though, to say the least there for Vasto. That could easily have gotten a lot worse for him. He needs still to pull back for repairs. He needs to get it up fast, fixed. But he's still got a lot of the Grenadiers. But the problem, I think, right now for Vasto is he's just sending them in willy-nilly. He's got no real bigger plan, so you secure a chunk of the map and then you just, hold it. He's just sort of sending in the left and right, which can do some damage, but the problem is it doesn't help him with victory points. He's just denying his opponent a lot of resources, so it becomes a lot less efficient in some ways. So again, he's doing a lot of damage in a lot of ways, but he's not really doing any of the damage that really lasts. It ends up being degree effortless fighting, or pointless fighting, because again, it doesn't really gain anything in terms of territory. Still got the Panther 4 almost good to go. Another T-34 from 6 on the way there for Macos and the 20th Motorized Rifle Division. Grabbing victory points. Stays down to 86 versus Macos' 264. Looking very rough there. Looking very rough. More Grenadiers for Vasto. Lots more. No MG42s, by the way, to help maybe control some of the points a bit better. No bunkers either. There's definitely a lot there that Vasto could work a bit on in that sense, That is coordinating overall his infantry movement into sort of a bigger plan, but also just, defending his points better with something. And again, machine gun bunker around here with a pretty good machine gun there. Similarly, command bunkers and machine guns on the west would be very solid choices as well for Vasto, would help him defend the points a lot more easily. Stug, they're almost good to go to the Stug 3G, the last model of the Stug, but technically, I mean, they sort of made sub-versions of the Stug and their Flux 3G, and on early model Stug 3G, there's a late model Stug 3G, you'd have numerous differences, usually including a better man clip, which was more rounded, but also top-mounted machine gun, which was remotely controlled, he set potential for, and also more of them had cracks machine guns. Even the early models had, but the later models overall were more likely to have the cracks machine guns. Shocks are being pushed back by the Panther 4. A lot of heavy mortar fire there, shattering walls and other masonry. Panther 4 the damage engine hitting the hit on mine. He's got all 3 victory points right now, but can he hold them? And can Macos then wrest control of them efficiently? I mean, one of them is very easily taken because there's nothing defending it. He's got access to airstrike. He's still got the heavy mortar. I mean, if pulls off his tanks correctly with maybe some kind of aimed strike, he could do some damage there to Vasto. Because Vasto right now, though, is heavily overextended again. He's lacking any sort of support numbers. There you go. 2 T-34 for the Panther 4 in the centre. And noting his Stug is not quite within range. Oh, there you go. He's going to lose the T-34 if not careful. Going to lose movement on the other side. That didn't quite wake up. But there you go. Begin airstrike called in. Quickly pulling back. No, he's not pulling back. He's actually allowing the Pioneers to remain to try and repair the Panther 4. Oh, heavy mortar fire and airstrike there wipes out one of its Grenadier squads in the centre. T-34 trying to flank behind again, behind the Stug and the Panther 4. Very bold there. Could get the Stug here. No, pulls back and gets away, but still disrupts. I think Vasto centred just a bit. Stug misses. T-34 misses. Heavy mortar fire. They're almost wiping out the Pioneers. What is he doing with that T-34? Still looks to be working there. Pioneers taking heavy loss there from this strike. And defense forward with the damage engine trying to get away. We've got the point here. And the security is all taking the point here. So even as all that is happening, that could even just have been a big fat diversion to throw his opponent's attention away from the other points there. But he might then lose the T-34. He hasn't even pulled that one back for repairs. Oh god, that's because he's still only got one engineer squad. He needs to pull that one back for repairs, get his veteran T-34 fixed up. This is getting a bit crazy. Getting a bit crazy. Other T-34 almost done there for Macos and the 20th Motorized Rifle Division. Need to be careful about pushing that Panzer IV hit with the damaged engine. Vasto, 4-6. Mines being laid down there. Anti-tank grenade of the Stugi, or G. Almost knocking out there, but it's still operable. We got the Panzer IV moving, G moving against the Panzer IV here. Good hit. Field gun recruit. Rifle grenade that doesn't have an impact. T-34 moving in there. Anti-tank grenade going off. Panzer IV getting eventually too. Ah, got wiped. Might lose the T-34 and there good Ghost down. He's still not fixing up the first one. What are you doing, Macos? Another anti-tank grenade gets the veteran T2. Stu 3G with the shirts on. What a shame. Down to just eventually 2 Panther 4 and some infantry. Got the shock troopers in there. 18 kills for the motherland. HQ5 on the way from Macos here. He just counted whatever armor Vasto's left. And ends up being absolutely massacred by the shock troopers at point blank range. 22 kills an hour. 22. Rolling in the Panther 4, but you're still not going to repair. You just focus the Pioneers on it. Smoke screen down there to help defend the point. At least just force the gun leads into closer range as well. That's by the way a clever move there. Of course, needs to be careful. He does make it drop just for the Panther 4 ways hiding. There you go. Veteran T-34 on the repairs. There you go. Getting close to the shock troopers. Quick grenade here. And also smoke grenade. But there you go. Vasto's gun is getting absolutely pulverized here by the shock troopers, who are then getting pulverized by the Panzer IV. And there you go, HQ5 tank is right. They're getting for the center victory point as well there. Just Macos keeping up the pressure versus Vasto in his final moments. We're still flooding a lot of manpower. Stug infantry on the way there. Pioneers into rushing it. They could actually use the tactical movement just to rush forwards there, but he seems to not really consider it at all as a, ability. He's swimming down there. 61 points left. Panzer IV about to get knocked out. We got the units moving in, but they're not going to help much. There's the HQ5. And there you go. Panzer IV kaput. There you go. T-34 good to go again. Shock troopers reinforcing. HQ5 pulling back there. 52 points left for Vasto. Only a Stug left to really fight the enemy. Of course, he's still got a lot of infantry, but again, the way Vasto's handling it is a bit inefficient at times. It certainly feels like it doesn't work according to a larger plan. There you go, T-34 moving in, veteran too. Mortar crew spotted and continues to be dispatched. They're pretty efficient. Stug moving ahead, trying to line up the HQ5, takes a penetrating hit there. T-34 going as well there. Stug could take another hit at finish at 5. Ah, missed. T-34 getting too close. They're going to get Panzer Faust. Going to get Panzer Faust. There we go. Get a few good hits. There you go. Takes several hits as well there from the Panzer Faust. Almost knocking it out there. Stug misses as you're driving down for the Stug. 52 points left, grabbing all the victory points again, as all of this could practically be a diversion maneuver for all Macos Cares. He just needs to beat out his opponent. But there you go, Stug down. And that means now all Vasto has to really deal with the T-34 forces is Panzer Faust. He doesn't have munitions left, so there you go, Grenadiers wiped. And we got more T-34s on the way there from Macos, just sweep away Vasto's infantry right here by the end. Ultimately, Vasto loses by the looks of it. I mean, he had several times to Macos on his knees, could never quite finish him because one of Vasto's issues with this kind of strategy, it seems, is he just can't control the map very well. I mean, he never went from machine guns to command bunkers, and he never sort of went for things to further support the Grenadiers in the offensive, like command bunkers or half-tracks. So, essentially, Vasto's strategy ended up having several strategic weaknesses, in the face of Macos, who would all just handle things a bit more sharply in some ways. Though again, it was pretty close. And there you go, Vasto surrenders. A loss for Germany, a victory for the Soviet Union, a brutal battle of attrition, ultimately won here by the Soviets. Despite again, Vasto going for a lot of grenadiers, outpacing his opponent there. Again, there was never really a cohesive infantry plan, again ensuring that he never really held a lot of ground. He just kept pushing, then couldn't hold any he took, he couldn't even take it, and then was just run off the field. So in many ways, Vasto just did damage with nothing really further to do with it. And that's the thing. If you can take a lot of ground but you lose some squads, it's better than just doing a lot of damage, never really gaining any ground themselves. And that's why sort of long-term Macos won, because he just got more resources than his opponent and could that way just outweigh him with armor long-term, whereas Vasto still struggled to keep it up because he just didn't have much map there. Factory in Macos, I think, did reasonable work with mining, whereas Vasto, I think, mined here, and that was it. I mean, there was no machine gun bunkers and no machine guns down the road either, so I think several deficiencies there in Vasto's strategy, which allowed Macos to pull through. Also, big thanks to Jeremy for donating and supporting the Propagandacast. Big thanks to you, Jeremy. And of course, if you'd like to support the Propagandacast, do consider there's links in the video description. You can do so. Either Patreon or PayPal, others most appreciated. But there you go, a brutal fight of wits and attrition. And if you like, subscribe, like, share, and comment on it. This is Imperial LinkedIn. Cheers, thank you for watching. Hope to see you all tomorrow for another exciting episode. Bye.